Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today it's time for another ArtsyTrio collaboration with my friends Gina and Bea. And this month it's my turn again to create the mood board for your inspiration. So I'll pop on the screen now what I've created for you. So as you can see, the theme this month is going to be for fur and feathers. So let me turn over to my other camera and I'll show you what I'm going to create based on those prompts. Okay, so just have a quick look at the mood board again for this month. So obviously we're coming towards the end of June, which means that this is the mood board that carries you right the way through to the end of July. So fur and feathers. So I put this together because it's a bit different and it gives you a lot of scope really to do anything you like. But for this, I've developed a new digi-download set. So let me just quickly zoom out again and then I'll show you what I created specifically for doing this project. So I did this one quite a while ago, as in at least a week or two ago, and it's a set of two what I can only describe as Zetty birds. Now the reason I call them Zetty birds because it's based on the style of Tisha Moore, and she called this Zettyology, and that is when you put together animals and other elements, abstract backgrounds, and you cut shapes and make fantastical creatures out of other objects, if you like. Zetty, I believe, is either a Hebrew or a Yiddish word meaning something beautiful or small and beautiful, something like that. Not small and insignificant like tchotchke, but Zetty, I believe anyway, and from what I can gather doing a little bit of research into it. So these are the two Zetty birds that I created. Now obviously I did the full kind of composites on both of them, but I also did the individual elements so that you can pose them differently, move the wings if you wanted to, swap the hats around onto each different one. But for the purpose of today's project, I'm going to use this one with the crown, mainly because I like the bird's face on this one, and I like the fact that I was able to get the crown to fit exactly onto the bird's head. I just kind of like this one. And if you're interested, or if you've purchased the mini file folders recently, or the random words and numbers, the colours in this particular set, anyway, these two, or this particular bird, the colours coordinate with that as well, because I've used the same kind of hues and the same backgrounds, and the bird's head has those kind of same colours as the blues in there. So that's kind of what we're going to be using today, blues and greens for the background. So first thing that I need to do then, I'm not going to use the full composite because I want to cut out all the bits and pieces. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go away and I'm going to cut out all these bits and pieces. I haven't decided on which one of the quotes that I'm going to use yet. I think I'm ready to fly, or I am no bird and no net ensnares me. I kind of like that one. So I think I might use this one, or these two, I don't know, haven't decided yet. Let me cut these bits out and then I'll come back. I've cut out all of my bits and pieces now. What I haven't cut out though is I haven't cut out those kind of scallop edges that I've done on this side here, mainly because I wanted to do some different ones using another sheet with some kind of floral elements into it. So this is from one of my new 8x8 textures packs called Floral Receipts. They're all made up of vintage receipts with floral elements overlaid on the top of them, just kind of in the background, as you can see there. So I wanted to use that in the background, but the next thing that I want to do is I want to add a little bit of distress just going around the edges. Now some of them have got some faux distress on already, like these numbers, but I want to add a little bit more to it. So that's what I'm going to do next. So I've got somewhere, I did have, there it is, my ink blending foam. It just threw it across onto my own lap. So I need to find my vintage photo, wherever it is. I think I left it over in the West Wing. There we go. That's it. So I left it on my other desk. Right, so I'm going to take things like bird's wings and just kind of go around and get rid of some of those raw kind of white edges. Obviously some of these elements will disappear because they're going to be going underneath other elements, because they're going to be layered, as is the nature of a collage. But just kind of get rid of just those kind of raw white edges that you can see there. Just helps to kind of finish it off a little bit. So I'll go away and do that to all these bits, and then I'll be right back. Right, so that's the last of those items. I haven't gone round that quote yet because I think I'm going to cut it up. I'm going to use that one originally. I think I'm ready to fly. And I'm also going to use this one as well. So I've done that one because that one's okay as it is, but this one I'll probably want to cut into 3 layers. So I will do that when I know exactly where it's going. So everything else is done, apart from the 2 washi strips, because I'm going to be ripping those up anyway. And then I've got a couple of those other little labels there. So time to do my background. So I've taken my cue for colours from the actual kit itself. So if you look at the wings and kind of the body, you'll see that there's a lot of kind of yellows, creams and off-whites in there as well. So that's what I'm going to do for my background. So the majority is going to be I've got light buttermilk from Americana, and I've got true ochre as well, which I'm going to mix and match along with some white gesso. So I'll just give that a shake up, give those 2 a shake up as well, just to make sure the binder is all nicely mixed back up again. There we go. And I'll just grab a couple of brushes. They'll do. I've got a pot of water here, just waiting to go. So, do the shorter bristle one first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some white gesso down, and while it's all still wet, I'm going to add in other colours. Now it's a rather warm day here today, so I'm hoping that it's going to stay kind of light. Not light, it's not going to dry too quickly because I want that kind of mottled look. And I'm just going to drop the paint directly down. So the acrylic paint for the deco art obviously will also seal the page, because I'm not sure what this page is made up of, or the paper is actually made up of, and how absorbent it is. So I'm just going to drop and just blend in with the brush. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of white from the gesso and just kind of work it into the page. All random like. Just to kind of get that off-white kind of feel. Okay, and the beauty of doing it this way, of course, is you can see it as it's building up, and if you want more colour in certain areas or less colour in certain areas, you can just use your brush or a baby wipe or a wet wipe or whatever, just to kind of move it around, as long as you do it while it's still wet, you should be okay. Now I know it doesn't look probably very strong at the moment, but that's fine. So let's just grab a little bit of that yellow ochre. I'm just going to put a couple of drops, one there, put one there, and one over here. I'm just going to work that in as well. And I'm going in all different directions with my brush. And then again, if you think it's a little bit too strong, just come back in with that lighter colour over the top, just to break it up. And I think I want a little bit more of that yellow down here in the corner, so we'll just grab a small amount on the brush. That's probably going to be a bit too much. That's fine. Like I said before, I can always add more buttermilk to it, or even more white, just to kind of line it up again. But it just takes away the stark whiteness of the page and layers a little bit of colour just down onto your background. I don't think we're probably going to be covering a lot of this up with our collage elements anyway, so don't be frightened to just get some colour down on there, because when all's said and done, in the end, if you don't like it, you can always just grab some white gesso and go over it again. And if you think it's too dark, just add a coat of lighter colour over the top. It's as easy as that. And using kind of opaquish white colours or lighter colours works great to cover the darker ones, and obviously if you've got a lighter colour and you don't like it, add a darker colour over the top. It's quite simple really. I think that'll do. I've got enough to get rid of that white background now. And of course there are 1,001 different ways you can create a mottled background. You could use baby wipes, you could use sponges. You know, there are 1,001 different ways. It depends on what mood you're in, really, what you fancy doing. Some days I want to do scraped pages with a spatula. Some days I want to just add block colour down. Some days I just want to do mottled kind of backgrounds like this. But I tend to prefer these kind of mottled backgrounds because they're a bit more subtle. Right, let's get it dry. Okay, that's dry enough. Right, so just using some scrap papers like I showed you earlier, I'm going to kind of build up some kind of border type frames. I'm just going to rip strips. And then I'm going to glue these down just to kind of create a border and a frame all the way around the page. And I'm going to use matte medium to do so rather than glue. So I shall give that a cut. I'm going to try not to touch it this time because every time I do, I always end up getting problems with my skin. I know I should be wearing gloves while I'm doing it, but hey ho. Right. So start with that. I'll do another strip down the side. I don't mind if this goes over the edge because I can always come back in later. With a pair of scissors just to tidy it up. And then there we go. I'm hoping it's not going to wrinkle too much. I'm just going to add a little bit over this side. It's very warm here today, so the stuff's drying really, really quickly. And what's that? Is that a Bentley hair? Probably. Okay, so while we've still got this in, I'm going to add some more elements to that and just start building it up. So again, do the same thing again, this time with another piece. Like so. And I don't mind how scrappy it is. That's half the front. There we go. That's lifting off because there's nothing underneath that. Let's get some more matte medium under there. There we go, that should stick now. So I'm just going to quickly go around and just add on a bit more to the border, to the frame. Just do some overlaps. And just start building that up. So I've already got a bit there. So there's a few other places. Right, I'm going to add in some darker colours now. So this is a scan of a board I did years and years and years ago. I did a scan after I'd created the journal page just for using as background textures. One of those motherboards. So this is just going to add a bit of pop of colour around the outside and also help just to blend the border in. With a small piece. Put that there. And another little bit over here. You kind of like layer these the same way you would do if you were doing a bit of washi tape. Which I'm also going to do in a little while using those border strips. Remember those? So I'm going to just rip a little bit of that. I might need to change glue now because this might not hold because it's thicker cardstock. I think once it's actually grabbed it, and it probably will be better if I used some more stronger glue. Right. So I'll add a piece up there, and we'll have a piece along there, and I think we'll have a piece along there as well. So I'm going to use some stronger PVA. So this is called grab and go glue. The reason it's called that is because it is fairly strong and it will literally grab pretty quickly. And it will just grab and hold. There we go. I'll just try and straighten that up a little bit. Right, let me just grab a wet wipe. Come on. Oh. Took the baby wipes right out of reach at the back of my desk, which also means that I can't get to them easily. There we go. Right, just try and take off some of that glue. Gloop from my fingers. Okay, so now that we've got those down, just want to add one more bit. So we've got the stripes. I'm going to add those on as well. Again, just like you would do with a bit of washi tape. And I'm just doing 4 sides. I think just like that. That's going to do it to build up my border. And then I'll come back in with the baby wipe in a minute and wipe up the excess. This glue does dry completely clear. Let's stick that there. Actually, there you go. And because we've used matte medium, that's kind of sealed the page, so it's easy just to wipe off the excess. Here we go. So for this page, I am deliberately ignoring the rule of 3. So I'm adding things around the page in 4, well, 1 per side, if you like. Let's turn that around and bring it down here actually. Just because I think it adds a little bit more of a frame to the page. Okay, so I've got my fingers all cleared. Didn't end up using that one, which is fine because I can put that away and use that on a different day. So I need to get this kind of dried off and then I'll be back. The background's had a chance to dry and cool off a little bit, so now I want to just add a little bit more texture into that background, and I'm going to bring out one of my stencil. This is the bubble wrap stencil, and again I'm going to be using those colours that I used before. So the true ochre again. I'm going to create a little bit of space just off to the side, and I'm just going to load up a wedge cut from a sponge. This was a circular sponge that I've cut into segments. I get 8 segments out of 1 sponge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to load up the sponge with the paint. And then I can come in and start adding some of that background texture. I'm not tapping too hard. So there. The paper's buckled a little bit with the moisture and with the heat, but that's fine. Now I'm bringing that over so it does encompass the border as well, just so it kind of helps to blend it all together. And we'll do some over here. Okay, so we've got a little bit of texture in the background there. So let's get that cleared up. And then I'm also going to add, even before I've stuck down my focal points, I'm going to add some splatters. No, I'm such a devil. Right, and for that I've got some darker brown. So this is terracotta. From the same place, Deco Art Americana. So I'm just going to add a little bit. Grab my brush. It's got some water in there already. And you see how that just helps to break up the expanse of that background. There we go. And it doesn't need to be a lot. Okay, once again, let's get that dried off. Okay, my background is completely dry now, and I have just trimmed off the excess down that right hand side, and I've just laid out the pieces just so I can kind of audition where I want them to go. And I also now need to make sure that I can stick these pieces together kind of where they need to be, so I can start building up my cluster before I stick it down onto the page. Now, have I opened that up yet? No, I haven't. I'm squeezing it, trying to get some glue out, and it's not even open. There we go. So I can layer my pieces sort of together. And again, don't forget, I can just give those a wipe over. So I need to do my main pieces first. Out on there, and I need to just add that wing on the back. This is the beauty of using the individual pieces, is that you can position them pretty much wherever you want them to go. And I can stick the head on about there. Don't forget, if I get any glue underneath, I can just grab a wet wipe. Oh, they're fighting me today, these things. That's it. Okay, and I can get the wing there. So that just wants to go down the side a little. Keep that out a little while, just for a little bit, and then add some down there for the frill or the skirt. Haha, for the frill of it. Corny, I know. There we go. Okay, so where were we? My phone just rang. It was Ian just letting me know that he's just set it ready for today's trade-in, because he's doing a steampunk show at a place called Belvoir Castle, or Beaver Castle, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Right, so put some glue around there. Just try and balance that just on the end. That should fit just nicely there. There we go. Grab the wet wipe and then just wipe off the excess. Super duper, like that. And then I can do the legs first, so I can position those, and then I can work out how high up that I want to put them. So I can either, depending on the size of the page, you can adjust the length of the legs with this kit. But I think that's going to be about right. That should do, I think. One of the things I love about these, using the kind of composite, not the composite, the individual pieces, is that if you want to, you know, you can keep the legs out, you can do one, you know, I can tilt. It really depends on how you want to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stick those legs down onto the page first, and then I can just lay the body over the top. So I'm going to just stick the first one about there, and I can bring the main cluster in just so I can kind of work out where I need it to go. Yeah, that's going to just about do it, I think. And then I can put the other one so you could, just to give an impression of depth, just drop that down a little bit further than the other one, just so it looks as though there might be just slightly askance stud. Excuse me. But that's the beauty of these things, you can just play about. Excellent. Just wipe off the excess glue if any comes squidging out. Okay, so now I can flip the main body back on. This ain't going anywhere. This glue's that strong. Okay, so let's flip that over and then drop it down. I'm just going to gently press it down with the cloth, with the wet wipe, just so that if any of the glue just squidge out from underneath, it just automatically grabs it. There we go. And that should hold. There we go. So I'm going to need to leave that for a good 5 or 10 minutes just to grab, hold and stick, which will give me time to decide which of the coats I want to use and also to put the kettle on. So for you it'll just be a minute or two, well, it won't even be that, it'll be a few seconds, but for me I'll see it about 5 minutes. So it's been a few minutes since I stuck those down. They're nice and stuck, I suppose. So what I want to do now, before I add my quote to the page, is I want to add a little bit more background texture. So I'm going to do some mark making. So I've got the lid of a spritz bottle. It's actually my water bottle lid. And I've got some of the desert cactus colour. Now if I flip that over, you'll see it is kind of a good match for the bird's head and also the colours that are up there into the hat or the crown, and also there's some of the same similar colours into the bird's body. So I think that'll be a good kind of like coordinating match to do some mark making in the background. So let me just push that to one side, give it a shake, and then I'm going to put some paint down onto the mat, and then I'm just going to pick up some paint on that ring and then just do a little bit of kind of mark making just in the background. And I'm deliberately kind of going over some of the other elements just to kind of bring that to the fore. Oh, there's Mr. Bentley. He's finally got himself out of bed. Little tinker. I think that's going to just about do it, I think. Maybe just put one more there. Yep, I'm happy with that. So I'll just wipe off the lid for another day. Put that back on my water and get rid of that excess, and then we'll get this dry and then I can add my quotes. Okay, everything's now stuck down and the paint for those little squidges are all done. So I've got a couple of the quotes, including one of those figure things. There was two in the set. There was that one, that number 1929, and this one, the figure 689, which I think I'm going to use. But I think I'm going to just drop those out of the way. I'm actually going to stick it actually on the bird's body, because I think it's just crying out to sit on there. So that's what I'm going to do. To me, it's just crying out to go there. So let's wipe off that excess glue. Perfect. Lovely stuff. Yes, like that. So, quote wise, I did say originally, I think, that I liked that one, I am no bird and no net ensnares me. but I've decided against it. I've decided to go with that original one that I said, well, not the original one, the one that was on the kit, which gives the DigiKit its name actually, Ready to Fly. So I think I'm going to use both of these two. I'm going to put that there, My Soul is in the Sky, and then this one, I think I'm ready to fly. I like those. So we'll get the glue and just stick that on the back. And again, like I said, I've come around these with the distressing. Actually, I might put it up there so it's breaking out of that circle. That gives it a nice little aspect, don't you think? And then we'll do the same thing with these, breaking out to those circles. Doesn't matter if I get a bit of glue, because as you've seen, it will wipe off. Or should I put it there? I think I'm going to put it there. There we go. Just take off the excess there. There we go. Haha. Me likes a lot. So all I have to do now, just to finish off, is just to sign and date it, which I'm going to do over here. So I'm going to just make sure, yes, pen working. And today is the 26th, because I'm filming this on the Sunday. So there we have it. Now, what I also need to do is just to flip that page over and stick down my inspiration sheet onto the back, just so that I can look back when I do my own personal flip throughs. So I know what inspired the page. So normally when I flip it over, I'll do it that way. There we go, Fair and Feathers. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this art journal page for the ArtsyTrio collaboration with Gina and Bea. Obviously the theme being Fair and Feathers for me. So if you have enjoyed it, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. If you want to join us over in our ArtsyTrio Facebook group, where you can show your inspiration or what you've created using the inspiration, there's the URL on the screen there, but there will be a clickable link in the description area below. So pop along, join us, have a bash at using the prompts, and then show us what you create. So that's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.